And I am calling the Londonderry Utilities Committee meeting for January 7th, 2025 to order. Join me in Pledge Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the United States. Nobody got that? Oh my God. That's a come out with it, right?
So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out on this cold January evening.
Freezing.
Yeah, I know it. I was telling my wife today, I said, I don't know if it's me getting old or what, but 20 degrees seems cold today. I don't know why. And the wind was
Yeah,
nasty
wind was
as
with it.
well.
Yeah.
So thank you all for coming out. I haven't heard from Mike. I know John is not going to be in attendance tonight, so I do have a couple of notes from him. But with that said, we'll just get right into the business tonight. It's going to be, I think, a fairly straightforward meeting. We don't have any speakers coming in, so we'll get going. First on the agenda is public comment. We don't have anybody from the public tonight. I saw a lot of cars out in the parking lot, so I'm thinking, what did I miss?
Senior resources.
Yeah. What did I miss? But they're across the hall. So with that, we'll get into the administrative board work. We have any minutes to approve, John? No
4
minutes?
days after the meeting, I submitted them.
Yes,
did get one
December
comment.
minutes.
So we're all set?
Yes, there was, I made a
These-
typo error that this young lady caught.
So, December minutes, I'll take a motion to accept the December minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second by Jeff. All in favor of approval of the December minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved. I should have said we are down, oh, Ann's not here either.
Right.
Am I voting?
You're voting, and you're voting. Okay.
So I gotta add to minutes 2 people, right?
Yep.
Got it.
So Ray and Joy both voted aye.
As long as they sit in the same chairs, I got it made.
You've been trained well.
We are friends.
For some reason, that always trips me up. But, okay, so we have approved December minutes. Discussions with staff. Kirsten, how are you tonight?
I am doing quite well, nice and awake. Couple of quick things for all of your information. The bid period for the High Range Road water main ended on December 12th. And the contract was awarded to American Excavating out of Derry. The good news about this is that the bid estimate had been 6.5 million. The final bid came in at 5.7 million. So that's approximately $800,000 lower than they anticipated. So we're in great shape with that. American Excavating has and Penachuk have a fully executed contract, and so work is on pace to start next in the spring as we hoped, barring any other changes.
And with that, Kirsten, my understanding is that the work is to be substantially completed by the end of next year? Or
Yes,
end
it
of
is to
this year?
be.
And then fully completed within, what, 12 months of the start date or something like that?
Yes, so they give a deadline of 300 days for substantial completion and 350 for final completion.
Great.
So, yep.
So,
Can we ask a question?
no, of course you can.
Do you have the details of what exactly they're going to do?
The exact project,
Yeah.
that's the water main extending from Old Nashua up to Royal. So basically, they're starting at the south and moving north the main High Range Road water pipeline.
So they're starting from 102 to Royal.
South of 102 to Royal, yep.
Old
The idea is
Nashua.
to tie into, Old Nashua to tie into the work that's being done privately for Rolling Meadows.
Do we know what the size of the piping is?
That information, I'm sure that's in the contract. I don't have it in front of me, but it's whatever they put out to bid.
My point is that there could be a lot of details other than, it's going to be a pipe in the ground. Is there going to be a pump station?
Is I don't have that information for you. It's
Yeah,
the,
but I'm
the
just
bid,
asking
yep.
if we have received all those details.
So the bid, the contract is complete. It is a fully executed contract that has everything in it. The contract is 366 pages, and it's the largest file I've ever tried to open on my computer. It crashed it several times, and I have one of the best computers here. So it has all that contract has highly annotated drawings, specs, absolutely everything in it. So whatever they have, whatever's in that contract is what they're building. It's whatever the bid was drawn up for by Penachuk. So it is Penachuk's contract with American Excavating, not ours. So
And that is available to us.
it is a contract between Penachuk and American Excavating. And so I would just need to, it's not posted anywhere. It's not a town document. So again, I just need to make sure that everything is all set with providing it out there. Ray, we can talk about this later. I'm absolutely willing to. I just need to make sure. But like I said, right now, I can't get it anywhere because it is so enormous on my computer.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come in and take a look at it, though.
Okay, I shouldn't ask so many questions, but look, the money, the grant money and
Yep.
other money, it came to this town of Londonderry.
Yes, that is correct.
That money is going to the contractors and Penachuk.
That is
And
correct.
so, that's fine, that's kind of a deal between the two of them. But wait a minute, we're a partner in this, and
We are a party to it, yes.
we have a right to know how that money's being spent.
Yes, you absolutely do. And like I said, I just need to find, if you would like to come in and take a look at it on my computer right now, I'm happy to do that for you. It's not a easily printable document or a postable document, and also again, like I said, I would just need to talk to Penachuk and to figure out where and how they would want it viewed. But again, you're welcome to come. Anybody wants to come in and take a look at it, you're welcome to come in and take a look at it. But I'm having difficulty, like even to get I printed off one page to have the numbers in front of me today. It's an enormous document.
Yeah,
so,
well,
Could we
file
ask,
size.
maybe we just need some simple,
Be happy to do, if you would like a summary or some sort of summary,
yes,
absolutely, that is much more doable. Yeah, and like I said, welcome to come in and take a look. I just can't produce it for all of you easily or.
but it's not a
Yeah.
private document between Penachuk and the contractor.
And again, I just need to make sure that there is no particular individual parts which would be, because there could be, because it is a contract outside of us, there could be proprietary information. That does not mean the substantial part of the document is not. I just need to make sure, Ray, and I want to make sure that I give you the right information. Could easily be that every single part of it is 100% public information, and that is awesome, and then look away. I just want to 100% make sure before I give you that information, because I don't want to give you the incorrect information.
could we ask Penachuk to put together an executive summary of the contract?
I think that's a great
And
idea.
I think that's
Yep,
what we
I can
should
ask
for.
Casey that.
We don't need to get into the finances or any of the competitive bidding processes or what people did for that, but
Yeah.
certainly a summary of what the contract is, the highlights of the engineering.
But we, the town, should have oversight as to how it's being done and how the money is being
Yeah.
distributed.
Yeah,
I mean, that's-
oversight
That's
will-
part of the contract with, where
With
the grant
Penachuk.
money.
Yep. No,
So this
and
is a project that
oversight,
this
I
is
think,
not-
is,
yeah.
subject to interpretation, but we certainly are a party in the overall process.
And-
Did anyone from the town sign the contract?
I do not believe so, no.
Oh, okay.
I do know that John Trottier was extraordinarily involved in this process. He was there for the bid submission. He's been involved every step of the way. The man knows every bit of this project. So when you're talking about technical specs like pipe size, pump station, I'm happy to take those questions to John, but I am not an engineer and can't easily answer those parts of it.
That's great.
What I can answer you is that every step of the way, we've been in paperwork, financial compliance with every single bit of the grant. So we're in great shape as far as that goes. That part I do know.
Can you ask for an executive summary?
I will
Do you want me
absolutely, yeah. I'll
to
reach
do
out to
that?
Casey Harding and ask for an executive
Okay.
summary from Penachuk.
And I can do that if you want me to, but
No,
I think
fine
that would
doing
be fair at
Yep.
this point.
Yeah.
The second thing is that,
Can I,
yeah, sure.
on the prior, is the fact that we now know for certain, it sounds like, it's gonna end at Royal Lane, is that new news? Because the last I heard was, we're gonna go as far north as we can.
And that is still where we're landing at this point in time. There's not a, that is where we're at. We're gonna basically start, build, and go.
So maybe
As
south
far as
or
Royal, there's
north.
no plan at this point, let me put it this way, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong on this, if I have any understanding differently, there's no plan to move beyond Royal at this juncture. That plan has not been formulated. The plan up to Royal has been formulated, provided the funding covers that much of the route.
You
Does
are
that make
correct.
sense?
It could end up south or north of Royal, or it could only end up south or
And-
at.
I think,
Until we shore up some other things, Royal's the stopping point.
Well,
not north.
South, not north,
Yeah, yeah, only, yeah.
for right now.
But we are working on it.
Any other questions on that right now? So I wouldn't expect to see a lot in the next 6 to 8 weeks, but once the ground thaws, you'll be getting more updates about that. In the meantime, I will look for an executive summary for y'all on that. The next thing is the Pillsbury Pump Station, the sewage for you sewage and solid waste people. The environmental review has been completed for that, and we will be entering public comment for that and the HUD objection period within the next 2 weeks, which means that that project will be moving forward on schedule. And the last thing I have for you is that we will be moving forward with the website redesign project. We're still moving forward with that because I've heard that your committee wants to have a little bit more of a robust presence than some other committees. I would love it if you could designate somebody who could meet with me in the next couple of weeks to kind of wireframe out what you would like so I can present it to Civic Plus so they'll be able to build it out appropriately from the start, and it'll kind of help save some time on the back end. The new website is, at this point in time, scheduled to go live in April, and I'm trying really hard to stay on that schedule. It is currently just myself working on it, so it's a pretty substantial project. So if you could designate somebody to work with me to kind of come up with what you want your part to look like, that would be extraordinarily helpful.
So if we mull it over amongst ourselves and have somebody nominated for February, does that work with your schedule? Do we need to have something quicker than that?
If you could come up with the person tonight, that would be really helpful. If you can meet before February, if not, then that's fine. Either way, if you
Okay,
can
well-
meet, if you can't do it before February, then I can make it work on my end either way.
Volunteer for that one.
I mean, I figured it would just be John. I mean, I kind of just figured.
John Ferrera.
So with that said, I think we need a motion, right? And before we go on with the motion, so Ann is here now, Mike is here now, so Ray, Joy.
But you got your vote in.
sorry about that, Ray.
So with
I can
that,
leave.
I'll entertain a motion to have John Ferrara
Aye.
represent us.
I'd like to make a motion that John Ferrera work with Londonderry staff toward the new website on behalf of the utility committee.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, John, you have
We
a
have-
new job.
We have a new pronoun, your staff.
Staff is helpful. I'm fine with staff.
Thank you, John.
I'll only speak one, I only have 1/10 as many questions as Mr. Ray, but we'll get it done.
Great. Look forward to it.
Okay, great. Thank you, John. Appreciate you standing up to do that.
And that is all I have for you, Mr.
He
Chair.
didn't say yes, did he? Yes.
Any update on the master plan, Martha?
There's not much update on the master plan. We do have a meeting coming up next week on Thursday. We didn't do much over the break, but there was some talk in our last meeting, as we were still talking about housing in Londonderry, that we wanted to be a little more educated on what is affordable housing, what does it look like now? So we're hoping to get some realtors and some developers come in and address the committee on those 2 points. That's about all at this point.
Yep, great. Thank you very much. Moving on. Subcommittee discussions.
Martha,
Oh,
excuse me,
Sure.
is there a milestone schedule that's associated with the committee?
And right at the moment, I would say the answer to that is no. But that is something that I think several of us are very interested in getting at and pushing towards. So I think at our next meeting, which is next Thursday at 6, that we're gonna kind of push to get some answers on that. The way she's been addressing it, Sylvia, has been sort of going chapter by chapter through this, but we want to find out what exactly it is.
Well, that begs the question, what are the chapters?
Well, the first one is about housing.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is there an outline of
Is there an
chapters?
outline yet that I know of? Not really. I think it's somewhat following the old master plan in terms of chapters, but, you know, Southern New Hampshire Planning, Sylvia, has a whole idea of what a master plan looks like and how you tackle it. John Jeff Penta, who's our chairman, may have a better idea about that. I'm not in close with conversations with Sylvia, but the question you're asking is exactly a question that I want to ask. And I want to see if I can get somewhere with that.
Thank you. Because those milestones are gonna drive the urgency of our input.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Excuse me, I have a question. I'll try to make it short. You mentioned about housing. I mean, that seems to be a key issue with the master plan. And God knows, housing is an issue, yes. But supposedly, from what we're hearing, there have been over 1,000 housing units approved this past year. And here we have all these other ones in the
Process.
moving forward. So, yeah, the question is affordable housing? Absolutely. Okay, how can a young person with 2 kids afford to live in Londonderry?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
even an elderly person, you know? So that is key, absolutely. But I'm just concerned about all the housing that is happening, which a lot of times is not affordable, and whether there's been discussion
Well,
about that.
Uh,
go ahead.
Fine, if you can answer. This is really a question for tomorrow. You coming to the planning board
Oh,
meeting?
okay,
I think-
she brought up housing. that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
and, you know, that is something that we want, we have members of the planning board also on the master plan steering committee, and they want to get this information too. If you were at town council last night
Yep.
and heard the chairman of our planning board speak, he's interested in finding out how to do this too and how to handle what
He's
we're
also
facing.
interested in the building moratorium, which we're told it can't happen.
So
Okay,
we're gonna
that's
move
it,
on from that.
that's it.
Yeah, that's a question for
Yeah.
tomorrow night.
Right.
Any other questions on the master plan?
Thank you for your forbearance,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman.
Moving on to subcommittee discussions, we'll start with energy. So we actually had a subcommittee meeting, and the big topic of that was the community choice aggregation project, aggregation plan, and the rollout of that. So Paul, fill in all the gaps that I'm going to be leaving, but basically Eversource came in with their proposed rates for February through August. We got the rates from our aggregation partner for that same period. They're basically equal. There's not enough difference in, you know, $1 or $2 is literally what the difference would be in somebody's bill. Is just not, and we felt that there's just not enough difference to go off and implement the plan around that. So our recommendation to the town council last night was to not implement in Q1 and keep an eye on energy prices, and if they support us coming up in the summertime, then we'll move forward with the program then. But just a lot of things happening in the energy market, which is driving the costs for our aggregation partners, and that includes the weather forecast, which we're all dealing with today, and then the geopolitical nature of Ukraine shutting down Russian gas going into Europe, and so some of our supply is probably going to end up going over in that direction, and then, you know, basic laws of supply and demand, you know, price goes up when the demand goes up.
So nothing in February, summer is June, July?
So the next round would be what, September through?
End of January.
So we're deferring 9 months? We're deferring?
No, that would be the next Eversource rate. setting.
Source rate,
Yeah, the next Eversource rate.
They come
So,
in every 6 months.
Yep.
correct.
I gotta cut more wood.
Yeah,
So are we deferring the decision to partner with these guys by a quarter? Or?
so we're not, so let's be clear on our language. We're not recommending implementing the program at this point in time. We are waiting for the next 6-month rate period.
Got it, okay, thank you.
As defined by Eversource.
Trying to figure the next trigger.
Yep.
Got it, okay, thank you.
But our partnership with Colonial Power endures.
Indoors,
Yeah.
and the work that we've done in the last year
Endures.
Doesn't go away.
doesn't go away, and the
Yeah.
value add is there.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep, so that was the big topic of discussion. Second topic of discussion, just real short, were potential solar energy projects, and I need to, I've been working with Kelly Karen in the Planning and Economic Development Department. We need to get the zoning regs in line to allow solar installations to be put into industrial 1, industrial 2 locations. Right now, the zoning regs are quiet on solar. They don't say yay or nay on solar projects. And in my opinion, they just need to be brought up to speed with where the industry is at today and with where everybody else is at.
So you're saying they can't, with the current zoning regulations, be put on
They could go,
industrial sites?
they could go in with a variance of the ZBA, but I think the best way to do it is with a zoning reg change. My opinion.
So that's necessary?
Yep.
and how are industrial sites defined?
So if you go to the zoning ordinance, the Londonderry zoning ordinance, it would give you all that information. And
So-
it would tell you exactly where the industrial sites are in town and what is allowable and what is not allowable.
So you mentioned 2 industrial sites?
There's
that
2
were-
industrial zones. There's an industrial 1 and industrial 2.
Two.
And it really depends on, what's the right word I'm looking for?
Light versus heavy almost.
Light, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the airport?
What about the airport?
Wasn't there a potential project for solar at the
That's a
airport?
different thing, but yeah.
That's what we're talking about. It's an industrial 1 zone. The parcel that we're looking at is zoned industrial 1. And
Yeah.
today, and so today you couldn't do it based on the zoning regulations. You'd have to go to the zoning board of adjustment and ask for a variance. And going through that process is straightforward, but I don't think it's the right way to go. I think an update to the zoning regs is the way to go. And just address solar.
And how does that happen? How does that zoning regulation get updated?
So yeah, exactly. You're laughing
Okay.
at that. So the way it should go is it goes to Planning and Economic Development. They make a recommendation to the planning board, who makes a recommendation to the town council. The town council approves or does not
Okay.
approve.
Okay.
And that's how it happens.
So it comes out of the planning department
Yep.
here in town?
Yep.
And then goes to the planning board?
Yep.
So they have to work on that? Okay.
And I suspect, the reason I'm laughing, I suspect the reason Kirsten is smiling is because there's a staffing shortage
Oh,
in
yeah.
our town right now.
Yeah,
And
right.
this process begins with a hardworking staff member, probably in the planning department.
Right.
Yep.
Drafting a change that has to consider all kinds of things.
Yep.
So we're talking about asking people with less time to do more.
Right, okay. And this is just an aside question. is when I'm driving on High Range Road by the piece of property that I thought we were talking
This is
about.
Harvey.
Oh, this
It's
is on
behind you, Mark.
Harvey Road.
Yeah.
Oh,
Behind you.
okay.
Which is an
But it gets you
extension
there, high range
of
gets you
High
there.
Range.
Yeah, it's an extension of High
Extension
Range.
of High Range.
So if you're driving down, so
Okay.
this is High Range right here, down where the hand is, and then so you go through where Hall branches off High Range and Litchfield, head north,
Oh,
you're
then it
kind of
becomes
cresting up
Harvey.
on a
Okay,
hill.
Harvey then. I'm
Yeah,
talking
it's on
about
Harvey.
Harvey.
It's the top of the hill.
There's a for sale sign up there.
Big for sale sign and a bunch of big boulders in
Yes.
front of it. That's
Yeah,
the
for
one.
sale or lease. Well, it's really for lease. I don't think it's for sale. I think it's
They
just
can't
for
sell
lease.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, they
they're not-
can't sell it.
they're not allowed to
Oh, it's
sell
for
it.
lease.
Yeah.
I didn't read it that carefully. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
that's a piece.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a nice, it's a beautiful piece of land. If you
Yeah,
get
it
up on
is
top
nice.
of the hill,
Yeah.
you can see forever.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
very nice.
Well, at least big planes.
Okay.
Pardon?
But
At
I,
least big planes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah, and as far as the airport's concerned, they don't see much use for that piece of property other than doing something like this. They can't build a building on it because it's right under the flight path.
yeah,
Yeah, we might put Lynn and Jeff's Christmas tree farm up there
Yeah,
if they don't
yeah.
put solar farms up.
And so that's happening, and I think that's important, just, you know, for the future of renewable energy in town. We need to start addressing things like that, and the regulations need to keep up with that type of thing.
Yeah.
Is this, I'm just sort of curious, is, in terms of the redrafting, is this kind of thing that the planning group could do, sort of, write up a draft, so that when we are fully staffed, that those folks could look it over, the airport folks could look it over and say, yeah, this works well for us. Town council folks say, yeah, this looks fine to us. I mean, is there a way to take a step forward without planning staff in place right now? Is what I'm wondering.
I have my opinions on that. I don't think I'm able to answer that question at this point in time. I'm personally.
There are towns that have such ordinances in place. I think in most cases, they're actually ordinances and how they want to govern it. So you could harvest ideas from, other town websites. I think you're right. It could be useful. We just need a volunteer to do some digging.
I think some towns might have like a fire department where they have a solar farm, where they use that electricity at their municipal building. And still tied into utilities, but, it feeding maybe a municipal building or a number of municipal buildings.
but we're talking about actually looking at
Land.
other towns' zoning ordinances
Right.
to
Yeah.
see what they
Absolutely.
say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and just pick, I mean, if there's language we can use and people
Great idea.
approve that language.
Would you like to do that?
I'm not really the lawyer on the group.
So,
Good response.
without drafting another
She's your
person
friend.
to take a task.
Right back
That
at
did
you.
hard.
So that's in the works. Moving on,
volunteered for quite a
Mike, you want to let us know what's happening with the energy audit discussion? Paul?
Well, no, I mean, Paul's got the lead on that because what we're hoping is that we could take advantage of New Hampshire Saves. And Paul has a contact that,
So I made contact with the department at Eversource who does a lot of this type of work. And with all of your permission, I'll go to the next step. They basically can offer energy assessments on town buildings. And there'll be no cost to the town, up to $3,500 per building for the energy assessment. And then from that, you'll get a report as to what projects or items you can do to, improve your energy efficiency of that particular building. And then it's up to us to figure out what we want to do, and then also see if there's other subsidies associated with that, and they can help us with that. So, if you're okay with this, I'll get back to them and say, how does it work, and we'll lay out a process.
So Kirsten, I don't want to speak for the entire Utilities Committee, but I think it's a great idea. And my thought is that Paul and I need to talk with Dave Woolley I don't know if you want to be in that
I can
discussion or not.
I can certainly make that happen. So,
But I think Dave would be the person to talk to in the town. Dave owns the buildings.
I totally agree with that because when the Energy Task Force was in place prior to this committee, we went and spoke to several, so we spoke to the fire, we spoke to police, we spoke to the town, we spoke to the schools, and everybody had done some work in their buildings. So I think Dave would be a good place to start with what he knows has been done. I can also put you in touch with the person at the school who's,
Actually, Eversource is researching that for us right now. And
Okay.
so will come up and give us, this is what we've done in the town of Londonderry.
okay, excellent.
if after the meeting, Lynn and Paul, if you guys give me your availability, I can make that happen rather
Okay.
quickly.
Good, good. And just the last item at the Energy Subcommittee was just talking about putting together a master plan for energy for the overall master plan, and so just picking that discussion off as well. That's something they'll be working on. And hopefully, to your point, Mike, let's get a milestone chart for the overall master plan, and we'll just work in conjunction with providing a deliverable for that. Anything else, energy-wise? How about water?
No meeting in December for water. We're all enjoying the Christmas and New Year break.
Frozen water?
Frozen water. Got a meeting scheduled for the 18th, which is 2 Saturdays, second Saturday from today. Unless we need to move it. I see Ann not liking that.
No, I just
Okay.
didn't know, I didn't know about
Yeah,
it.
the
Why, are
incident
we all
went
going-
out at
are we
3
going to
o'clock
Greece?
this afternoon.
Going where?
Are we going to Greece?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we
go-
could hold the meeting there.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a meeting in Greece. Kirsten's approved budget for that.
I would like to remind you, I'm in charge of nothing and nobody.
Yeah, so, no meeting in December. We're planning on having a meeting in 2 weeks from today, or 2 Saturdays from today, which is the 18th,
What time?
10 o'clock in the Sunnycrest room.
How do you spell Santorini?
Yeah,
Um,
I would suggest going there.
primary
Put that on your bucket list.
primary goal is going to be getting some structure around our to-dos for the strategy, for the water strategy, and then discuss the outreach that we're working on. You know, we have a lot of the data, well, we have some of the data for the strategy, but there's still a lot to do. The writing piece will be, I think, not as difficult. It's just collecting all the data, because it's from a lot of different sources. But if we come to the next meeting with a good punch list or schedule, like we're talking about for the plan, and we can fit ours into that, we can fit the water subcommittee plan into the master plan, I would be a very, very happy subcommittee chairman. And I think that's it.
Side note on water, I don't know if everybody noticed, but on the web, you now see all these law firms popping up. If you had cancer, liver, all those things, please call us. So that's been really stepped up. It's even on TV now.
Yeah.
So either we were at it at the right time, and I see more and more focus paying attention at the national level of funding of how we're going to fix this. What happens, who knows, but yeah.
Yeah.
So good that we're, I think, maybe a half a step ahead of all of this, because we've got a pretty good idea in the state what we can do to maximize any monies that we have. So,
And to add to that, we had our meeting last November-ish with Pennachuck to have them lay out a plan, which is the start of, if we can get our hands on X dollars to get, to build out the water system. That's the first step. But they've told us they should have something to talk to us about the end of February.
yeah.
So we should have an update in March for this committee. So,
To bring them in?
it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Right. So no update to my big schedule, because John just had that guy retire, by the way. Bridget, one of the gentlemen we met, he just retired. I can't remember his name. It'll come to me in a second.
The engineer
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah. The guy's been there for 50 years.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
yeah.
But like he said, they will try to take and not only update ours, but start to publish that.
I think it's a great idea.
Good.
So, good.
I just wanted to, it's not a wrench, but it is a screwdriver. There was a story in today's paper, in the Times, about a new study that just came out, and granted, it's only one study, it's not 15 studies. A study that just came out between Harvard and NYU did the study. And it's pretty interesting because what it shows, I can just read it to you from what it says here. A study led by researchers at Harvard and NYU found elevated levels of 6 types of chemicals known as PFAS in the samples that they took at wastewater treatment plants. The chemicals which have been linked to cancer and other diseases are known as forever chemicals because they don't break down. We knew that. The researchers found that that even in wastewater plants, so that these are plants which the water goes through to supposedly clean the water. The concentrations of PFAS are still there and higher.
In the outtake, not where the water's going in the plant, but where it's supposedly coming out clean.
Right.
That's weird.
And that's the water that's going into our streams, going into our rivers, when we clean the water, going into our pipes.
It's probably
Going
not
through
there,
our
but I'd like to
taps.
know where they tested it, because a good thing that we learned about Penachuk is
Right.
they do monitor the output, which is very
Right, well,
important.
they're required, most
Places are.
companies, they're required to.
Yep.
But these folks look specifically for PFAS, and they found just high concentrations of discharge from the wastewater treatment plant. So this is sort of a new issue, and this is even aside from the sludge from the wastewater treatment plants that's been distributed and put on farmland all over the country. So I think there will be concern on how well our wastewater plants are doing.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
Can I say something?
Sure,
You're absolutely correct, okay?
yeah, sure.
And there's nothing new about this, okay?
Well, the
This,
higher
the wastewater
concentration.
treatment plants do not have the ability to take all the PFAS and other Generation X chemicals out of it, and it goes back into the Merrimack River. It goes down, Penachuk pulls it out and runs it through their treatment plant. Hopefully, they have the ability to take that out, okay? So we don't have to be that concerned about the drinking water from Penachuk, hopefully. But the other thing you have to realize is, and you can correct me on this or you can follow up on it, but the what do we call the contaminated water that comes out of a landfill? Leachate. The
Yeah.
leachate that comes out of landfills is put in trucks, temp trucks, brought down 93 and deposited at a wastewater treatment plant like
Right.
Concord
Right.
and Manchester.
Right,
They run it through their plant. They don't have the ability to take that stuff out, okay? And this is very much of concern, and we have to pay attention to it, okay? I'm not gonna say any more right now.
I'm going to add to that a little bit, Ray, because I think there has been a lot in the news lately about wastewater treatment and the effects or the accumulation of PFAS and other quote-unquote forever chemicals of the PFAS compounds and other organic compounds that are persistent in the environment, other organic types of compounds. This has been known for a long time. It's in fact some of the signs of this were, a couple of at least over a decade ago, maybe even 2 decades ago, they started finding fish that were downstream of a wastewater treatment plant, and they found that they had intersex characteristics in a single fish, so that fish that had both male and female reproductive characteristics inside them. So this is not something that's new. I'm glad it's being brought to the public more. But I think to your point, Ray, wastewater treatment plants, when they they're designed to take out nutrient pollution and to lessen the pathogen load.
Yeah.
And that is what, human pathogens, we have them in our body, we get them out of our own waste. Most of this is waste coming from humans.
Yeah.
And so it was to take out of the environment so that we did not contaminate the environment with heavy nutrient loads or pathogens or human pathogens. The expense at the site of a wastewater treatment to remove these persistent organic chemicals, at this point in time, we don't have the technology to do it, and it would be extremely expensive. Scientists are working on that. Scientists and engineers are working on that. But to your point, really where we can protect people or help people protect themselves is having an understanding of how their drinking water is treated to remove them, so that when they are consuming water, they are not exposed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we as a committee want to look to the other ways that people are exposed to these PFAS chemicals, because in addition to that, it is in the nonstick cookware. It is
No,
in,
it's in pretty much everything.
it is in, soup cans
Cosmetics, right.
contain
Boxes,
BPA.
yeah.
It's in cosmetics.
Right.
It's in our,
Clothes.
in our clothing that's
Furniture.
rainproof.
Flashcard, yeah.
So,
I
I do think we do need to have, it is important to have a holistic understanding of this issue, and we should be concentrated on water, and we should have a good understanding of these, what is going into that wastewater treatment, if it is not purely from human refuse, if it is from other sources that would contain those toxic chemicals in very high quantities.
Storm drain overfills, things like that.
Okay,
Overflows.
I don't want to get into a big
but a
back and
clarification
forth
on
here.
this,
It'll take
though?
a lot of time.
I-
but-
A
I would-
clarification, Ray? This
Go
is
ahead.
about wastewater treatment
Concentration.
plants, not water treatment plants.
I understand
Right.
that.
Oh, okay, just want to make sure.
Right.
I understand that perfectly.
Right, but the other thing that's nuanced is that they're talking about an increased concentration coming out of those wastewater treatment.
Of course.
I mean, the line here is that, and it's done for National Academy of Sciences, the report, that the wastewater treatment facilities do not effectively remove these compounds from wastewater. At most sites, in fact, PFAS and wastewater became more concentrated after the treatment.
It's a lagoon. It evaporates the water. What's left is concentrated. That's the way it works, right? A lot of cases.
Sometimes, well, it depends on the wastewater treatment plant, but wastewater treatment plants, it's not just a lagoon and sitting there, it
Right.
does go through a facility, but that is, because people are planning on using the water from wastewater treatment plants.
And look, once again, I don't want to take a bunch of time here, but the other important thing we have to realize, what you said, about biological stuff that the treatment plant take out.
That was the main purpose.
What do we say? Yeah. To protect the environment, that's fine. But when we're talking about other chemicals that are being brought to a wastewater treatment plant to process, and the thing of it is that we're accepting waste from Massachusetts and other locations, particularly Massachusetts, okay? Being brought into New Hampshire to be put into a landfill that produces leachate that now we gotta process. We gotta have something to say about that, okay? And that's up to Concord, that we got to say what is going on, what bills are coming forward. We gotta pay attention to that. Just for instance, if you have a building in Massachusetts that has asbestos, there's 3 places you can take it to. Massachusetts has a landfill in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, a sealed landfill that you can dump asbestos in. There's 2 other locations. One of them was Waste Management in New Hampshire, Rochester, landfill. That is allowed, okay? And who's monitoring it? The other one is one other location. It's Red Logistics. And what the hell is that? I'll tell you what it is. It's a shipping company that will accept any kind of a thing in any kind of a box. You can put whatever the hell you want into it, and you can ship it wherever the hell you want. That company's out of Africa.
Well,
That stuff, that stuff probably isn't making to Africa, it's going into the ocean, okay? All of this stuff we gotta pay attention to, particularly here in New Hampshire.
Well, I think that what's come out of all of this for me is that our job, we can't solve all of this, so we have to educate. We can educate. So if that's,
My point is, we have to work with our legislatures.
I agree with you.
And see what the hell bills, and support those bills. I don't care whether they're Democrats or Republicans. If for the good of the citizens, the health and welfare of the citizens, we damn well better pay attention and support the bills.
I agree with that.
So that plays pretty much into one of the last points I want to make tonight. So let's move on and we'll come back to that. How about that?
Real
But-
quick, and I found your article and emailed it to everybody.
sure.
Thank you.
It's done. No, I have it, and
Oh,
I
you
sent it
got
to
it, good.
everybody on their town emails.
Great. Anything else from water?
That's all.
Solid waste, John had a conflict tonight, so he's not able to make it, but John did send out a schedule today for the year of solid waste, sewer and solid waste subcommittee meeting dates.
Yes, he did.
So that's on its way out. And John's also been pursuing a waste oil grant, and he did send a draft grant application to Bob Carey, who's the town's environmental engineer. And Bob is reviewing that as we speak. So with any luck, that'll get submitted within the next week or two, and hopefully get some money to upgrade our waste oil collection site, if nothing else.
Very good.
So. Any news on cable internet, John?
I think real quick, this could turn into a rat hole I don't know if I want to get into. So, research, Xfinity, Comcast, they're having a nationwide problem, but it's not only them. So you classify them as broadband providers, people will run the cables and stuff like that. Part of the problem is the interconnection between the older copper and the newer fiber optics. What you have to do is you have to put them into a distribution box, upload it, and it's all sorts of handshaking that goes on. The real problem is, and you can see it on TV, everybody knows that the internet, I can give you the history of the internet because I was involved with it a long time ago, runs at one speed, very damn fast. But in order for them to make money, somebody came up with this idea about, we'll give you business class. So what they did for us basic users is put us around a rotary once. Okay, slow us down. Well, then they offered another tier. Even watch the commercials on TV. The Xfinity commercial about, oh, my son plays on the squad and he's getting behind, so he needs faster speeds. You gotta pay more. Well, they haven't kept up with the population, and this is countrywide with all the broadband providers. And in order to guarantee that higher speed for the extra paying customers, they put us now through 2 rotaries and 3 rotaries, to the point where we can actually lose a handshake connection. That's the IP address protocol going back and forth. So if some of you might have noticed, when sometimes they hit fast forward, nothing happens. If you record a football game or a sports game that's more than an hour long, don't touch that fast forward button unless you exit and then resume, because it will send you back to the beginning. There's also, I can list about 20 problems. I've been reaching out to people, I see posts and stuff like that. So that's what's going on. The other thing I found out, which is good, there's lots of competition. So I started off with Fidium, good and bad. They're actually in the town. Some of the customers are kind of happy. Some are ready to, they're already throwing them out. So they're offering free installation, $200. So they come on and run the cable, and it's nothing. They don't come back for a whole month. Or if you have a service call, they're just not going to answer. But now what's changed is, so for example, we all know DirecTV. That's the satellite service, right? But you can also get DirecTV through your cable provider now as a streaming service with a box, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, About 7 months ago, SpaceX popped up a satellite, and I noticed, and I didn't think about it, that it was one of the biggest satellites ever. Yeah, we can probably get 30 different satellite services now in this town. I have a list of them, viable ones. There's over 100 in the country, but there's almost 30 of them. So I gotta do a deep dive to see how these things are performing. Because at one time, you couldn't get probably, 500, 300 megabytes up download. Now they're claiming 1 gig, 2 gig speeds. If that's true, well, that might solve a lot of problems. So I will still do some more research, but I'm afraid if I get the permission and go public and start collecting data, I'm gonna get inundated with problems and stuff like that. So I'm gonna call my favorite network guy. They did give me a number. I'm gonna ask them to come out to the pole and start doing testing. We're getting pauses all over again, big time pauses, and other people in the town are too. So that's the good, bad, and the ugly, I guess.
That's a complicated, they're all complicated problems. It's all interesting stuff.
I guess the question is, if there are more providers in the marketplace, why aren't the prices going down?
Because that satellite, I didn't realize how many it carries, but that was the big hurdle. Now that they're gonna get out there, they're gonna advertise, and they're gonna staff up, and they're gonna somehow, and I know DirecTV has done this. Remember now, when you use your streaming apps, if you can get them to work, like Tubi and stuff like that, because they don't have work half the time, you can't record it, you can't set times, you can only, use it. DirecTV's gone one step further. They do give you a box, and you can do stuff. All the rest of them haven't got it yet. Fittingham's supposed to have that. So that's a little bit of a deterrent for the people who work during the day, and they want to record stuff and do stuff on weekends and record it. So that's a market detriment. And there's a few other ones, too. They are cheaper, though. They're about half the price. But, so my daughter got one. She's out in Milford. I'm gonna run over and start playing with it. So I'm gonna see how she got a DirecTV direct link. So I'm gonna see
Does
how
she
it
know
works.
she's a guinea pig?
She's been a guinea pig
Probably.
for a lot of things.
Yep, good, good. Okay,
As I walked into her office one day at Dartmouth Hospital, and she goes, "What are you doing here?" "I volunteered you for a diabetic clinic. I'm here." So yes.
so before we move on from the subcommittee discussions, I want to put out a challenge to all the subcommittees for 2025 and come up with some goals for your committee. And I think, Joy, you're talking a couple of things for solid waste. What happens with wastewater, right? You want to do some education, some infographics, things like that. But, go back to the subcommittee and figure out some things you want to get done. And, we hear a lot of good ideas here. I want some people to take ownership of some of these things too, and that's the only way stuff's gonna get done, is to stop the talk and, walk the walk, as they say, right? So I would like to start at our February meeting to start walking through some goals that each of the subcommittees has. And I also want to solicit input from every member here tonight. What do we want to do as the Utilities Committee in 2025? And I think, I want to start, we have, I'm probably lax on this, so I'll take the credit for that. But, we have a PowerPoint presentation out on the webs, on our internet page saying, these are the projects we're working on, this is the status we're working on. I'd like to do some forward thinking there and start putting in some things that we want to get done too, and start putting some timelines on it and that type of thing. And getting out there and start holding each other a little more accountable to making this stuff happen. So I'd like you to think about that, and I'd like to have that discussion in more depth come our February meeting. So with that said, we're moving right along. We're getting the roundtable. Joy, anything from you on roundtable?
One thing, as I'm thinking about our goals for this year, one of the things personally I would like to do this year is to get to Concord. So as you were saying, Ray, I think, I'm absolute agreement with you. It was the first time I heard about landfill leachate going into the wastewater treatment plant. That's scary to me. Ron, can we ask of you, is there a good site where we can find out where all of the meetings are taking place, where we can give public input. And I, you know, personally, I'd like to get to 2 of them. That's my goal for that, for this year.
Absolutely. The website is I can get you the website. It's very, very easy to get on, very easy to give public input. So absolutely.
Awesome,
And the bills are coming out very slowly.
Okay,
It's kind of a glitch in the system. I know John briefly mentioned it last night. We have over 800 bills. So it's kind of slow in coming out, but they are coming out slowly. You can look on the website and see the bills. There's about 170, I think, on there right now. There's going to be a total of around 800. But hopefully by the end of next week, everything will be on there.
is there, when we look at the bills on the website, is it clear what they're about?
As soon as the text comes out, so what happens is the prime sponsor has to approve the text. Once that's approved, it goes back to the lawyer, and then they submit it, and then it comes online. All you see online before a bill is approved is just the subject line.
Okay,
Like it might just say, default budget, like it was one,
okay,
but then after the bill is approved by the prime sponsor, then you get to see the full bill text.
okay,
It's like a little blue link on the side. It'll say bill, and you click on that little blue link. It'll give you the whole text of the bill. And then as the bill goes through, as it gets amended, a little below that, it'll give you more little things to click on. It'll give you the amendments. And then at the very bottom, it'll give you the final bill, and it's finally all done. So it does.
okay, that's great.
GenCourt, New Hampshire, is what I use, but I'll get you the full. I can email you the full link. And that gives you everything. You can search for your rep. You can search for the bill. You can search for really almost anything. You can search for. You can search by name if you want. Like if you wanted to put in trash, or if you wanted to put in energy, you can search for all the bills that are on energy, all the bills on water. It'll give you all of them.
Excellent.
Can you
Thank
just mention that they have committees at the executive, no, I'm sorry, at the other building there in back there, what is it called?
The legislative office building.
Legislative office building. They have committee meetings there where a citizen can go to and sit in and actually can make out a card, because if you want to speak, okay? If it's a particular bill that you're concerned of and you want to support, or you want to say something about it, you can make out a card, and then they go through it, and, they call, oh, John, do you want to speak? And they'll give you a couple of minutes to say something. That's the time when you can say something, okay?
You
'Cause
can
if
do
you go-
comments online too.
If you go over across the street, when they're actually, they're voting on a bill, you can sit there and you can listen, but you can't say anything.
Correct.
So if you want to say something, could you explain that a little better than I did?
Sure. So basically what Ray is trying to say is, if you come to committee, you can come to us and speak on a specific bill. All the bills are posted online with a time. So like in my committee, we deal mostly with water and PFAS issues. So it might be 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. The bill number will be there. And that bill doesn't start until that time. So if, say, the bill at 10 o'clock ends at 10:30, we wait until 11 o'clock for the next bill, whatever the next time is to start. So like you won't miss, if it says noon on the thing, you're gonna come at noon. And then you're gonna fill out a pink card when you get there. And you're gonna give that to the chairman or chairwoman. And at that point, they would call your name when you're ready to speak. And you'll be, usually 3 to 5 minutes is what they give you to speak. And I think the emotional testimony definitely weighs more than other people. I can tell you that, one of the bills that we had was speed limit on Winnipesaukee. People came in and gave emotional testimony about how they were knocked off their inner tube and knocked off their kayak, and that plays very big if people are on the fence of what to do with a bill. A lot of times emotions are... stories, exactly. Emotions, people can relate to you. You know what I'm saying? Like thinking, oh my God, that happened to me. Or so basically what happens from there, what Ray is saying is, after the committee meets, we take the online testimony and we take all the testimony that we had, and then we have what's called an executive session. At that point, as a committee, we vote on the bill. And then we'll say it comes out, I don't know. Most of the bills are pretty, maybe 18-3 or 18-2, or most of them are pretty agreeable in my committee, but some of them might be 10-10. It goes to the flow of the recommendation. So at that point, either goes with a recommendation to pass or to fail. And then once it comes to the chamber where we have session, then you can watch from the balcony if you'd like, and you can see how the process works as far as the bills, how they're called, people come up and speak on them, and then we vote. And the vote could either be a voice vote, it could be a roll call vote. So it's just different ways. If you want to come and see it, I can put you on the list. Your name can be read into the record. You get your name officially and forever in the record that you came and attended. So
The point is, you can have an effect on whether the bill moves forward or not. Because they're gonna listen to what you say,
Yeah.
okay, are they gonna take it into account, hopefully? Wait a minute, you've got 2 or 3 people that actually show up and say something. It could be the difference between a bill passes or not.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things that we've talked about in the last few meetings that, we have said may need our presence in Concord, because it's, so.
And what I can do is once all the bills come out,
Thank you.
I can make a list of bills that I think this committee might be interested in and give it to you guys as an email and just say, hey,
That'd
are you
be
guys
great.
interested? And then if you guys say we're interested in these, then I can even help you tell you when it's gonna meet in committee. Because all that kind of comes out. You have, I'm gonna say roughly 3 weeks' notice. When the bill drops down and then it gets assigned to a committee, then the chair of that committee picks a date to have a hearing. So it's usually about 3 weeks. So, all of our bills, our bills are still being processed. So we'll say they'll all get processed by middle of January. We have until basically middle of March to finish the bills, because then we have what's called crossover. That's around April 1st is when we send them over to the Senate, and the Senate gives us their bills.
Yeah.
So just so you know, the turnaround time is kind of quick. We have a lot of bills to do in 2.5 months. So,
Yeah,
but hopefully
if
that
you could
makes
do that, that'd be great.
yes, absolutely, I do that.
And maybe we can help with some of those decisions.
Yes,
Does the
absolutely.
Senate do their own bills too?
they do.
They do
The
their
Senate
own
has
bills.
300 bills right now, from what I've seen,
Okay.
and there's only 24 of them with 300 bills.
And by the way, we have Sharon Carson,
Yeah.
Senator Sharon Carson
Yeah.
lives in town.
What's the period of time when you're like deciding bills? Like when we could, let's say we wanted to send you a bill about leachate in landfills.
So you want to send the bill to me to put in?
Yeah.
Okay,
What's the
so
period of time?
so we have 2 options. We have 2 times a year we can do that. Usually just after Labor Day, we
Yeah.
have a week, and then usually it's right after the election we have a week.
Okay.
So this year it was like the week after Labor Day, and then after the election that week we had that full week to put a bill in.
Start writing for
Yeah.
September.
Yeah.
What would be nice, if I want to just follow in on the Joy's theme here. It would be nice, given the 3-week timeline between when the warning we'll have that a hearing is taking place, we often won't have the ability to have a speaker say, I am here representing the Londonderry Utility Committee. It would be nice, to the extent that we can do that, when the dates line up, to have this not just be, I'm here with my personal opinion, but I'm here speaking for the town of Londonderry's Utility Committee, or who knows, we may even be able to represent the council if they're willing, give them a testimony.
What do you think about that, Kristen? Kirsten?
But
Like, could we speak on behalf of the Londonderry Utility Committee?
Why not?
If the committee approved what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
The committee would have to, what Mr. Spelt said, the committee would have to approve it. And it's something that before I absolutely commit to, I'd like to bring to Councilor Dunn and his
Yeah.
friends and the town administration to see how best to proceed with that. you have a little bit of time. I should be able to report back to you on
Oh,
that in
yeah, we have
February.
plenty of time
Yeah.
before that, but yeah.
So I'll add that to the
I would
list.
think on the less controversial bills, you'd have a better chance of getting that done. Any kind of controversy, you might not get the town to take an opinion either way.
And
Okay.
the other thing is, you can actually be there, and, at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not able to be there, you can watch it online. And you can also send a
Mhm.
email that say, you're in support of this bill
Right.
beforehand.
Yeah.
And does it not have to be read?
It doesn't get read out loud, but we as a committee look at them. And we also, usually in our committee, we announce how many people online are in favor or against the bill. So online, you can check off in favor or against. And the clerk of the committee will usually say, there's 10 people that said in favor and 20 that were against. And that was something that we would say at executive session prior to voting on. But we usually, as far as reading it, that's up to the individual member to read
Yeah.
it. We don't read it out loud
Okay.
in the committee.
Okay. But it does make a difference.
It does make a difference, but definitely the emotional, personal testimony makes a difference if you're there in person. If you really are passionate about something and you have a personal story, if someone's on the fence, it's gonna
Yeah.
impact.
A good example, you brought up about Lake Winnipesaukee.
Yeah.
You know, people have been
Yeah.
killed with
Yeah.
motorboats. I mean,
So-
but, you know,
Let's move
even
on.
if it's
Yeah.
not that,
Let's move on.
you know.
Can I make one other quick comment, please?
Quick.
There's a website called fastdemocracy.com. And it is an easy way, rather than wrestling, you're still gonna have to go into it, but it's not nearly as overwhelming as the state's website. So you just go in, you say, I wanna follow bills in New Hampshire, that are related to the environment. So here's today's email that I got. New Hampshire House Bill 96, requiring New Hampshire builders to use the 21 Energy Building Code. And then here's House Bill, or concurrent resolution 1, calling for policymakers locally and nationally to fully consider all relevant information. On and on. So you can painlessly, without having to sort through a lot of stuff, it'll tell you 2-3 times a week, and it'll come out and it'll say what's going to happen next. Bill's going to be introduced. Bill's going to go to a hearing, whatever it is. Fastdemocracy.
What is it?
Fastdemocracy.com.
That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Joy, anything else?
Nope.
Paul?
I'm good.
Ann?
I just have another question for Ron. Do you know anything about mediation? Have we gotten anywhere on the mediation between Saint-Gobain and DES?
I can't say.
I'm wondering about those 350 people who are still drinking.
I'm gonna remain silent at the point, but I can just tell you that we're working on it. Things are being done.
That doesn't help me.
I know. I
know.
I can't
I'm glad
say more
things,
than that,
what
but
things and what's being done.
things are being worked on.
Do you know whether or not there's been any movement on the 350 people who can't get their own system?
Can't say.
Things are
I'm
being
gonna
done.
say. I'm gonna remain
Whether
silent.
that's been brought up at all?
Yes, it's been brought up.
Okay,
How's that? I can say that. That's part of the discussion.
good.
Anything else?
Nope.
John?
Yeah, 2 items. Last year you did it for me, but end of year, do we all report to the council member? You did it for me last year, remember?
It's me. Yep, by the end of the month.
Shoot.
From somebody here, Utilities Committee report by the end of the month. You'll get an email about
Yeah,
that.
say, yeah, if it doesn't
Let-
get asked
so-
for, it's not. Too.
So in previous years, it was requested in December, just based on the methodology they used to assemble it. I came up with a different methodology this year. Last year, takes a lot less time for me to put it together. And so I figured, why would I create a false deadline instead of a real one? So the real one's going to be the end of this month. It can't go to print until after the deliberative session, and the warrant is final anyway. So
Okay.
realistically, January 31st
And
would
it's
be
still gonna
lovely.
be a summary, I presume, of what we
Yep.
did?
Honestly, there wasn't anybody who presented anything in the annual report that wasn't great in terms of its format last year, so you're welcome to use the same format. If you'd like to do something different, that's fine, just no clip art,
It's up to you.
because I'm gonna take it out.
It's up to you.
Yeah, so I'll probably take the lead in authoring that and getting it out to everybody for comments.
It is my responsibility, so if you want me to do it, I will, but
Oh, well, it's gonna go under your name, but
Be careful what you ask for, Joe.
Pluses and it's minuses.
and the second thing is, when do we have to do elections again? Is that next June?
after the election.
After the election.
March.
Right, so those are the two things.
You can choose to do March or January, it's fine.
We won't
The
do
reason
elections
that the
tonight.
planning board usually does after March is because it changes, the council member changes. Most other boards do January,
I think our rules of procedure say
say March, yeah.
March. Okay, that was it.
Martha?
I'm all set.
I used, my time has expired.
My time has expired too.
I'm good.
And I'm good. So, no public comments, nobody's here, so seeing that we've accomplished the agenda, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Is that a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.